Well, I hope you took my advice of the last video and spat out your black pills, bitch, because the results of the Virginia's governor's race are in, and they're giving Pelosi the fucking flop sweats. Several news organizations are calling it outright for Youngkin. As I record this, who knows how many more by the time I actually upload this video. Surprisingly enough, MSNBC was foremost among them, which... Watching the network of Joe Scarborough and Rachel Maddow possess more mathematical prowess than the ostensibly unbiased or even so-called conservative networks like Fox is a kind of high comedy that'd get your HBO stand-up special canceled in 2021. Then again, if I'd watch CNN's ratings go from Grand Archon of the airport terminal to playing limbo with dust mites over a 15-year fucking period, I wouldn't be wild about basic addition or subtraction either. As it stands, as I record this rant, hope they have enough ink for those ballot printers, because it appears McAuliffe needs over 90% of the remaining 10% of the vote or so, or he is irreparably shit-hammered. Not something I'd put past the modern Democratic Party, mind you, but a blatant steal of that movie Bob magnitude so soon after the last one is a tall enough order that if it were a roller coaster, Shapiro wouldn't be allowed to ride it. But honestly, even if it goes the Democrats' way, this election is about infinitely more than the final fucking result. Look, when Trump campaigned for Roy Moore in an Alabama Senate election he very much needed to sway and came up snake eyes instead, it was, rightly or wrongly, depicted as one of the first major political defeats of the Trump presidency and further evidence that the Dawn wasn't quite the kingmaker he'd claimed to be. Never mind that every other candidate he'd endorsed that cycle sailed to fucking victory. It was foisted up as the single defining failure of Trump's still germinating administration. So you should consider the import that both Biden and Obama, for once along with Kamala Kankles, all came up short in a crucial gubernatorial election in a state slowly transitioning into a glorified fucking suburb of Washington, D.C. And for it to occur on the same night the Braves, the team that were stripped of the MLB All-Star game over an election integrity law, wins the World Series? Oh, molto bene. Look, even if McAuliffe ultimately uses post-election fuckery to flip this thing, Youngkin is an absolute no-name, running against a Clintonian establishment golden boy with more money than a Saudi prince. This should not have been close, let alone a full-on fucking flip. Folks, this is Xbox huge. Palooka Joe and McAuliffe's entire mainstream media messaging apparatus attempted to turn this into a referendum on a national presidential candidate. Yes, the long outbound Trump included, and if that's what this is, all it proves is that Biden is about as popular as a blowjob ban.
Democrat Terry McAuliffe is struggling in a state that you won by 10 points. Do you see his problems as a rebuke of your presidency? And could this signal your real losses for Democrats in the midterms?
We're gonna win.
And it ain't only Virginia where the Indian food hit the fan. There's a New Jersey nail-biter as well, where the Democratic House leader is in danger of dropping the race to an all-but-anonymous Republican with a campaign budget of $5 and a bubblegum wrapper. Think those 41% Biden approval numbers might be sweetened just a smidge? Worse still, if they left the matter of Trump alone, Democrats could have played this off as a mere local referendum on education policy or quality of Democratic candidates. Instead, they tried to tie Trump and Youngkin at the hip at every turn, and he fucking crushed it anyway. Meaning the Mongoloids of the DNC snatched defeat from the jaws of victory by essentially cutting the first fucking campaign commercial for Trump 2024, and they did it for free, all while eliciting a more than 9-point swing in Virginia against themselves. Fucking oof! This is the most merciless massacre I've witnessed since Sterling on Taco Tuesday, and make no mistake, it is a reflection on the National Democratic Party. Midterm elections go the Democrats' way when there's high turnout, particularly in or around the Cemetery District. If the Democratic base is energized, this happens easily and they skate to victory. This is why they astroturfed the blue wave narrative ahead of the 2018 election. Look, the blue wave never actually materialized, but the media made their base believe it would, and that that did help bolster blue turnout, albeit negligibly. Point being, there's no way in the lowest chambers of downtown Detroit that they would dust off Obama, Kamala, and Bublin Biden himself and shuttle them all off to VA if internal polling wasn't showing demoralized Democrats disillusioned by the present state of the country and party. If this carries into 2022, let's just say I wouldn't be surprised to spot mainstream Democrats pushing perpetual lockdowns again so they can score another mail-in only election for fraud purposes this time next year. Fucking quote me on it. It also marks a major shift in the efficacy of education as a political fucking football. Look, folks, the Democratic Party's been bogarting that ball for decades. For this election to flip almost single-handedly from an establishment asshat in thrall to the corrupt teachers' unions, and for the flip to occur almost entirely because of their extreme position on parents' rights in schools, that's more than a mere governor's race flip. That's an outright inversion of one of the Democratic Party's final remaining union holdouts. In essence, Youngkin just helped turn the NEA into an albatross, which after 8 years of red for ed fuckery flipping local and state level races around the country while poorly camouflaging their socialistic underpinnings is a cataclysmic development on about 18 different levels. I mean, how did you think this was gonna go, dipshits? You let a dude who was later caught speaking at a socialism convention found a movement called Red for fucking Ed. You could have called it the goddamn Gulag Gang and been more subtle in your Bolshevik bullshit. But after the 2016 Trump cost, you were so thirsty for votes, you would have hand-jived Hitler for a fucking Senate seat, and don't you deny it. Look, I know there are good teachers out there. Some may even be watching this video, but it's 2021, folks. Teaching is the vocational equivalent of the Plan B pill after your intersectional pan-European pottery studies degree doesn't pan the fuck out for you. Modern teaching is more about pretending to have known all your life what you only learned that fucking morning. And bitch, have a gander at that election math. Looks like it's the NEA's turn to learn a fucking lesson. I'm Razor Fist. God fucking speed.
First of all, thank you for coming out here tonight, and I want to thank our great Governor Ralph Northam and Pam Northam.